Hey everyone, ready to dive into something kind of tricky. We're talking calorie deficits today. But don't worry, this isn't going to be about those crazy restrictive diets that leave you hangry all the time.
Right. I mean, who wants to live like that? Always feeling deprived.
Exactly. So we're going to explore how to make a calorie deficit work for you without feeling like you're constantly starving yourself. And we've got some awesome insights from registered dietitians Cara Harbstreet and Nancy Clark to guide us. So get ready to change the way you think about weight loss.
Yeah. Let's ditch those old eat less, move more lectures.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, they just don't work long term.
Okay, so tell me, why do those restrictive diets always seem to backfire?
Well, when you drastically cut your calories, your body kind of freaks out. It's like it thinks it's in a famine and goes into survival mode.
Oh, wow. So it's like our bodies are working against us.
In a way, yeah. Your metabolism slows down to conserve energy.
Yeah.
And you start getting these intense cravings.
Oof, I know those cravings all too well.
Yeah, and that sets you up for a cycle of overeating and then ultimately weight regain,
So it's like a vicious cycle.
pretty much. But there's this really interesting concept called set point theory that helps explain why this happens.
Set point theory. What's that?
So basically, our bodies have a preferred weight range they like to stay in.
Like a comfort zone for our weight.
Exactly. And when we try to go below that set point, our bodies fight back by increasing our hunger and slowing down our metabolism.
No way. So even if I lose weight,
Mhm.
my body might be trying to gain it back.
It's a natural protective mechanism, but don't worry, the set point isn't fixed.
Okay, that's good to know.
It can be shifted over time with healthy habits.
So how do we do that? Shift the set point without all the crazy restrictions.
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it might surprise you,
Mm.
but a big part of it is paying attention to what you eat in the evening.
In the evening, really?
Yep. Think about it. If you restrict yourself all day and go to bed hungry, what happens?
Well, I usually end up raiding the pantry for snacks.
Exactly. Your body is primed for cravings and overeating late at night.
Makes sense.
Nancy Clark, one of the dietitians we mentioned, she has this great saying, "The only time to lose weight is at night when you're sleeping."
Interesting.
It's not about skipping dinner, but making sure you're satisfied before bed to prevent those late-night cravings.
So it's more about setting ourselves up for success.
Exactly. Fueling your body consistently throughout the day to prevent those intense hunger pangs later on.
This is already blowing my mind. So we're talking sustainable changes and evening eating habits. What else can we do to create a calorie deficit without feeling deprived?
Another powerful tool is something called intuitive eating.
Intuitive eating.
Yeah, it's all about tuning in to your body's natural hunger and fullness cues and ditching those restrictive diet rules.
That sounds interesting.
It's about learning to trust your body again, instead of following rigid rules about what you can and can't eat.
So I'm guessing this is way different from those typical diets.
Totally different. It's a whole new way of thinking about food and your body.
This is already changing the way I think about weight loss. And I can't wait to learn more about intuitive eating.
Me too. And we'll definitely dive deeper into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. I'm ready to ditch those diet rules and start listening to my body for real this
I
time.
think you're going to love it. Welcome back. We were just getting into this whole intuitive eating thing. You know how it can help us create a calorie deficit without, feeling like we're starving all the time?
Yeah, that's what I'm really curious about. It sounds way better than all those restrictive diets I've tried in the past. But how does it actually work?
Well, it's all about tuning into your body's cues, like really paying attention to when you're actually hungry. And when you're full,
So it's not about counting calories or anything like that.
nope, it's more about recognizing the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger.
Physical hunger versus emotional hunger. Is that really a thing?
Oh, absolutely. Physical hunger is that true need for food.
Right.
Your body is telling you it needs fuel. You might feel a growling stomach or get a little lightheaded. Yeah, okay, I get that. But emotional hunger is different. It's usually triggered by stress or boredom or even just seeing a tempting food commercial.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes I just want to eat a whole bag of chips when I'm stressed.
That's a perfect example of emotional hunger. And with intuitive eating, you learn to recognize those triggers and find healthier ways to cope with them.
So it's not just about what we eat, but also why we eat.
Exactly. And another big part of intuitive eating is honoring your fullness.
Honoring my fullness, what does that mean?
It means paying attention to those signals that tell you you're satisfied.
Like when your stomach feels comfortably full.
Exactly. But so many of us have been taught to clean our plates.
Oh, yeah, my grandma always said, waste not, want not.
Right. And while that's a good sentiment in general, it can actually disconnect us from our body's natural fullness cues.
That makes sense.
So with intuitive eating, you give yourself permission to stop eating when you're satisfied?
Even if there's food left on your plate.
Yep. It's all about trusting your body to tell you how much food it needs. That's such a freeing concept.
It is. And the amazing thing is, when you start honoring your fullness, you naturally start eating less overall.
So it's like a natural way to create a calorie deficit.
Exactly, without all the stress and deprivation of traditional diets.
Wow, this is really changing my whole perspective on weight loss.
And here's another interesting thing about intuitive eating. It also involves giving yourself unconditional permission to eat all foods.
Wait, all foods. Doesn't that seem counterintuitive if we're trying to create a calorie deficit?
It might seem that way, but when we label certain foods as off-limits, we create this sense of deprivation.
Oh, I know that feeling. The more I tell myself I can't have something, the more I want it.
Exactly. It's like the forbidden fruit effect. But with intuitive eating, you remove that restriction.
So I can eat anything I want.
Well, it's not about eating whatever you want whenever you want. It's about giving yourself permission to enjoy all foods in moderation.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And when you do that, you often find that those cravings naturally decrease over time. Wow. I never thought about it that way.
It's like taking the power away from those forbidden foods and creating a more balanced relationship with food overall.
I'm really starting to see how intuitive eating is about so much more than just weight loss.
It is. It's about nourishing your body and mind and finding peace with food.
Okay, so we've talked about intuitive eating. What about exercise? How does that fit into all of this?
Yeah, so exercise is definitely important for overall health, and it can contribute to a calorie deficit.
Right, but I think you mentioned earlier that over-exercising can actually backfire.
Exactly. When you push yourself too hard, your body produces more hunger hormones.
Oh no, so it can actually make you hungrier.
Yep, which can obviously sabotage your weight loss efforts.
So how do we find that balance?
Well, it's all about listening to your body and finding activities you enjoy. Nancy Clark has another great tip. She says, surround your workout with food.
Surround your workout with food. That sounds kind of counterintuitive.
I know it sounds weird, but it's not about eating a huge meal before and after every workout. It's about fueling your body properly so you have enough energy to exercise and recover effectively.
So like a small snack before and a balanced meal afterward.
Exactly. That way you're not starving and more likely to overeat later.
Okay, that makes sense.
And remember, movement doesn't have to be a punishment. Find something you actually enjoy doing, whether it's dancing or hiking or swimming or just taking a walk in nature.
That's such a good reminder. I think I've been so focused on calorie burn that I forgot to actually enjoy moving my body.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in that. But when you find activities you love, it becomes so much easier to make exercise a regular part of your life.
This is so refreshing. I'm really starting to see how all of this fits together. Like, it's not just about dieting or exercising. It's about creating a healthy lifestyle that you can actually sustain.
Exactly. And that's the key, isn't it? It's not about quick fixes or extreme measures. It's about making gradual changes that you can stick with for the long haul.
This has been so insightful. I'm feeling so much more empowered to take control of my health and create a lifestyle that truly supports my well-being.
That's awesome to hear. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll wrap up with some practical tips and strategies to help you actually implement all of this into your daily life.
All right, so we've covered some really cool stuff like set point theory and intuitive eating, and even how to approach exercise in a more balanced way. But now I'm ready for the nitty-gritty. What are some practical tips I can actually use to make this calorie deficit thing work without feeling like I'm on a crazy diet?
You got it. Let's start with something super simple. Focus on the quality of your food.
Okay, so quality over quantity.
Exactly. When you choose whole, unprocessed foods, like fruits and veggies, lean proteins, whole grains, you naturally consume fewer calories and feel more satisfied.
It's not just about eating less. It's about eating better.
Exactly. Those whole foods are packed with nutrients and fiber, which keeps you feeling fuller for longer.
That makes sense. I definitely notice a difference when I eat more whole foods.
Right. And here's another easy one. Stay hydrated.
Oh yeah, I always forget about that.
It's so important. Sometimes we think we're hungry when really we're just thirsty.
And I've totally done that before.
So keep a water bottle handy and sip on it throughout the day.
Good tip. Okay, so quality food and hydration. What about when those cravings hit? Any advice for dealing with those?
Well, remember how we talked about giving yourself permission to enjoy all foods?
With intuitive eating?
Yeah, that applies to cravings too.
So I don't have to completely deprive myself?
Yep. If you're really craving something, allow yourself a small portion, but eat it mindfully. Savor each bite.
That sounds a lot better than trying to ignore my cravings completely.
And sometimes just a little taste is enough to satisfy the craving.
True. Oh, what about those healthy food swaps? I love finding healthier versions of my favorite treats.
Yeah, those are great. Like if you're craving ice cream, try some Greek yogurt with berries.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Or if you want something crunchy, try baked sweet potato fries instead of chips.
Yum. I'm gonna have to try those.
There are so many delicious and healthy swaps out there.
It's like you can still enjoy your favorite foods, just in a healthier way.
Exactly. And remember, creating a supportive environment can make a big difference too.
What do you mean?
Well, if your pantry is full of junk food, it's going to be harder to resist those temptations.
True.
So make sure you have plenty of healthy options on hand.
So it's like setting myself up for success.
Exactly. And one last thing. Remember that weight management is a journey.
Not a destination.
Right. There will be ups and downs along the way.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that.
So be kind to yourself.
And celebrate those small victories.
Exactly. You've got this.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much for all the insights. I feel like I finally have a plan for creating a calorie deficit. That actually works for me.
I'm so glad to hear that. Remember, you have the power to create a healthy and happy relationship with food and your body. Trust yourself and enjoy the journey.